Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another update on the market, the stock market. So right now we're taking a look at SPX, the S&P 500 index, on the one-day chart. So right away, what we can see, first off, let's zoom out a little bit to the 1 week chart. So this is where I do most of my charting now. So we have a high of, this is our high of the year, basically our 52-week high, and we constantly have made like a head and shoulders pattern like this. We just go down, recover a little bit, go down, recover, go down, and now it looks like we're about to recover. However, I think this time it plays out a little bit more differently. So I had this line right here set for the 1 day, and the 1 day showed me a smaller, basically a smaller head and shoulders. So one, two, and then we broke out, let's say, yes, the Friday and today. So yes, this is bullish. However, I would like to point out that we are getting rejected off the 1 day 200 EMA. No, this is the 50 EMA. We're getting rejected off the 50 EMA, and in addition to that, we have a lot of big earnings coming up this week. We have Apple earnings, we have Microsoft earnings, and in my opinion, both of them are misses or relatively flat. And that's like 20% of SPY. 20% of SPY is doing earnings this week, and if they are red slash flat, and I just believe that the market will also continue to come down a little bit. So what I'm looking at, so I see a pattern right here where when we have a gap up, let's say we have a gap up. This is a weekend, right? We gapped up a little bit. We have a gap up. We have one more day of green followed by a few days of red, and that's what I see here. I could see that playing out. Tomorrow we might get another green day, and if we do get a green day, that might be the perfect opportunity to load up some puts. However, the safer move would be to wait out these earnings that are probably market making, in my opinion. Apple earnings are huge. Apple has been really strong against the market recently. If you take a look at Apple charts, so this is my Apple chart. If we look at the weekly, we have Apple has a strong support around here, around the 140 region, and we had a bullish breakout of this wedge right here, this triangle. We had a bullish breakout, and if Apple continues to break out up, and we can even see up until like the 170s again, maybe even the more safer bet is 160s. I was looking at 160 calls for December, January. That's when I was looking for Apple to reach around the 160 region again. So positions that I'm currently in, I'm in XBI puts. XBI is a biotech ETF. So if we look at the weekly, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like this week, so we had 3 weeks of red against the market. If we look at SPX only had 1 week of red in the last 3 weeks, whereas XBI had 4 weeks of constant red, or if we're not including this week, 3 weeks of red. So if I'm betting on the market dropping off, I'm going to be playing a stock that already is red, because if the general market drops off, already red stock will continue to go more red. So I'm in XBI puts, and XBI puts I think are going to pan out relatively well for us. We have a support. We have this triangle right here, and we're breaking down to the downside of this triangle. Last week on Friday, we were a little bit down. We were around the breakout. However, we recovered, and we had an indecision doji candle. And today we were able to let's say break out a little bit more than what we did on Friday. I would like to see how tomorrow continues into the rest of the week. If the position continues to climb, I will be looking at cutting it. However, I don't believe that there is much drawdown left on this position. I do believe that I'm relatively sitting at minus 13% on them. I think that I'll hold them to around minus 25%. If they do get to minus 25% before I see any bits of retracing toward the downside, I will cut them before that. So that's one position to add to your list. XBI is it's a really fun stock to play, because the options don't move as fast, and usually you do get these big trends. You see this big green if you just bought puts. If you bought calls on the way up, you would have made a lot of money. You see the big volume greens against these small volume reds. That's what I'm looking for here when I play weekly charts, the overall trend, and the overall trend right now seems to be like downward. If we look from here, we look for entries on puts rather than entries on calls, because I don't want to call the bottom. Okay, one more position right now that I'm looking at to enter, LMT. So I want to enter LMT to the put side. If you look at the weekly chart, we have, even if you look out to the daily chart, we have a very nice breakout here. However, I do not believe this breakout continues. I think that sooner rather than later, we are going to have a drop off. And the minute we drop below 430, 425 is when I'm going to be taking 390 puts. Around 390, 400 puts are even going to be good. Those puts are all going to be very good. We have a very decent head and shoulders set up here. This is a breakout. This is off of earnings. This big candle with earnings. So if the general market wants to slow down, LMT might be a good position to look at for puts, considering they're very overextended off of earnings now. Same thing goes for Netflix. Netflix is touching the 200 EMA. Today we rejected the 200 EMA. Netflix was not able to cross over the 200 EMA. We tried on Friday. We tried again today. So if you guys want to play Netflix, I think we could retrace all the way back down to 250. We have a gap here to fill. Keep that in mind. We have a gap from 250 all the way up to 265, almost 263. We could fill that gap. We can take up to 260 puts for maybe even 2 weeks out if you want to play shorter dates. You can play even next week. I think that we have Netflix has a ways down to go after a massive beat on, or not even a beat, but a massive earnings boost. A few more stocks that I would like to talk about are XLE. Let me hide my drawings. So XLE, I like XLE right now. I was playing in the call side up until today. I exited my call side positions, only because I wanted to preserve some capital, lock in some gains. If we do see some drawdown, I would love to enter them again. So we do see XLE looking for, if we okay, this is gonna be really bad, but if we look up, let me just hide my drawings. Hold on. So if we look at this candle right here, and we notice that this is the bottom, and the next bottom here is higher than this bottom, and we have one high here before we dropped off, and another newer high, and a newer low, a higher low, a higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is a perfect bullish setup. So how long do I see this continuing? Okay, so bullish on oil is very hard to time correctly. Oil and energy really kind of do their own thing. They don't really pay attention to the general market much. They sort of do, but they are kind of their own thing. So if you do trade them, you do have to trade them independently of what the market is doing. Of course, oil is up on while the market is down. The oil is up big since almost October 2020. Yeah, October 2020 was when oil found a really nice bull run. If you're able to catch it, you probably paid out big. However, for those of you that know, oil used to be the bearish indicator of the market. When oil was up, the market was red, and I don't see that happening anymore. But it is something to keep in mind. If you do see the market going down and oil keeps rallying, I would be call side on oil, because that correlation still might be there. It's not as strong as it used to be, but it still is something to keep in mind. A last stock that we're going to be talking about today is Soxol, the semiconductors. So semiconductors are very fun to play. They're very what are they? It's very trendy. They follow trends rather well, and I mean, what can I say? Just let's take a look at this trend. Let me draw my line. Look at this trend. So that's the trend we're looking at right now. And if we look at any other stock that has semiconductors, okay, I have drawings on these. Let's go to another one. QCOM. If you go to QCOM is similar. So QCOM, you can play this right here. That's a potential play. You see how we're right now. If you look at QCOM, right now we tested this trend line right now. We tested it today. We wicked off of it. I think that if we break above it, we can go all the way up until 127, 125. However, I think that we do reject it. AMD is releasing earnings soon. Their proper earnings date is coming up in, I think, a week almost. Yeah, a week. Almost a week. 8 days. They had their earnings in 8 days. Nvidia has their earnings soon. So I am short side on Soxel, short side on what are they? Semiconductors. Yeah. I am short side on semiconductors until AMD can break this range that it's in, this beautiful range that I was able to capture. If it breaks this range, that is when I am call side or short side. Right now, AMD isn't giving me much direction. However, the general trend is downward. That's something to keep in mind. So those are a few plays for this week. Keep those plays in mind. Add them to your watch list. They're very good plays, get very, very decent setups. Remember this week we have a lot of earnings. We have a lot of news coming out. We have FOMC meetings coming out in about 2 weeks. So there's very, very market moving stuff happening soon. So keep your risk within your limits. Don't play when you don't need to play. There's certain days where it's just better to sit out in the market. And just remember that it's okay to not play. It's okay to not have an open position. You'll get FOMO seeing these big gains online on Twitter, but the best way for you to grow is to play when trend is your friend. And right now the trend is, yes, it's downwards. However, the market is in a weird place right now, and it's hard to say how much more downward, how much more drawdown that we have. So until we get a clear idea of what the Federal Reserve wants to do with its inflation situation, let's just take it slow, take positions that we know will work out. Instead of taking positions every single day, instead of trading every single day, let's take one or two setups every week, every few days. That's the best way to preserve your gains. It's the best possible way to play. Let's play the general trend only when we have to, or only when we can. And yeah, let me do a little bit of a self promo. I opened up a Patreon. If you guys are interested, I have a Patreon where I run stock callouts, I run my exits, I run my entries, I run secret plays that I don't share anywhere else. I have my charts, I have my watch list, everything's there. If you guys are interested in joining, there is a link in the description. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe and share the video. See you guys next time.